So now the question is, what are the effect of the digital devices on attention span and the concentration? Firstly, we define the digital devices have become a very important part of our daily life. We use the mobile phones, the laptops, tablets, and the computers for study, work, and entertainment. So they make our life fast and easy. However, using the digital devices too much can affect our brain, especially our attention span and concentrations. So this topic explains how the digital devices influence our ability to focus. Now we define what are the digital devices. Basically, the digital devices are electronic machines that store, process, and show the information in the digital form. These devices help us to communicate, learn the new things, and get entertainments. For example, the smartphones, the laptops, and the computers, tablets, televisions, gaming, the consoles. Students mostly use the digital device for online classes, social media, watching the videos, and playing the games. What is the attention span? Basically, attention spans mean the amount of the time a person can focus on one task without getting distracted. If someone can focus for a long time, they have a good attention span. If they get distracted quickly, they have a short attention span. For example, if a student listen to a lecture for only a 5 minutes and then start checking their phone, it show a short attention span. Now we're discussing what are the types of the attentions. There are different types of the attention. First is the sustained attention. For example, ability to focus on one task for a long time. For example, studying for 1 hour continuously. Second one is the selective attention. For example, focus on one thing while ignoring the distractions. For example, listening to the teacher in a noisy class. Third one is the divided attention. Doing more than one task at the same time. For example, studying while using the social media. And the fourth one is the alternating attention, for example, switching focus between the tasks. For example, reading the notes and then writing the answer. So there is some digital devices often weaken this type of the attentions. For example, typical attention span by the age, for example, under 12 months, 12 to 12, 10 to 12 months, that will be the 2 to 5 minutes. 18 to 24 months, that may be the 3 to 8 minutes. 3-year olds having the 6 to 10 minutes. 3-year olds having also the 8 to 15 minutes, and 4 to 5-year olds have 10 to 20 minutes of typical attention spans by their age. Now we define what is the concentration. Basically, concentrations mean deep and complete focus on a task. It is a stronger than attention span and help in understanding and remembering the information. So the good concentration is very important for learning and problem solving. For example, solving a math question with full focus without checking the phone. So now we're discussing the types of the concentration. There may be the visual concentration, for example, focus on things we see. For example, reading a book or watching a presentation. Auditory concentration, for example, focus on sound. For example, listening carefully to a lecture. Mental concentration, for example, focusing the thoughts on thinking or problem solving. For example, planning in essay or solving some puzzles. So there's too much screen time reduce all these types of the concentrations. So what are the average concentration span by the age? For example, there the 4 age having 8 to 10 minutes, the 5 aging having to 10 to 25 minutes, the 6 age having to 12 to 30 minutes. So this is the average concentration span by the age, which have been distributed according to the age of the body. Now we're discussing what is the difference between the attention span and the concentration. Attention span is basically it is the amount of the time a person can stay attentive to something before getting distracted. For example, a student listens to a class for 10 minutes and then loses interest. Concentration is the ability to focus deeply on one task without the distraction. For example, a student studies a chapter with full focus and the understanding. So there is some positive effects of the digital devices. Digital devices are helpful when we use correctively. For example, easy access to the information, online learning and the courses, educational apps and the videos, better communication. For example, watching the online lectures to understand the difficult topics. So there is having some negative effects of the digital devices. For example, overuse of the digital devices causing many problems. Short attention span, poor concentrations, addiction to mobile phones, poor academic performance, mental tiredness are the negative effects of the digital device. For example, checking the social media again and again during the study times. So, what are the role of the notification and the distraction? Notifications from the apps, messages, and games disturb the focus. Every time notifications appear, the brain stops the current task and shift their attention. This make it hard to concentrate again and waste the time. So there is effects of digital device on the students. For example, difficulty to focusing in the class, poor memory and understanding, having low exam performance, stress and anxiety, and less interest in the readings of the books. Now the question is, what is the digital devices and the multiple tasking? Multitasking means doing many things at the same time. So digital devices encourage the multitasking, but it reduces the quality of the work. For example, studying while chatting on the WhatsApp. As a result, neither studying nor chatting is done properly. Now the question is how to improve the attention and concentrations. It's mean that limits the daily screen times, keep phones silent during the study, focus on one task at a time, take a short breaks and study in a quiet places. There is some healthy digital habits like fix the screen time schedules, avoid the mobile use before the sleep, exercise and outdoor activities, read the books instead of the screen, and spend time with the family and the friend. Now there is some psychological effects of the digital device, such as the excessive use of the digital device reduce the attention span. Frequent notification and multitasking decrease the concentration. So long hours of screen use cause mental fatigue. Continuous exposures to digital contents increase the stress and anxiety, and overuse of device can lead to the digital addictions. So, late night screen use disturb the sleep patterns. Heavy dependency on the device weaken the memory and learning ability. And again, the fast paced digital contents create the impatience and restlessness. So, excessive screen time affect the emotional balance and mood. So screen time and brain functions having specific role, like excessive screen time can reduce the attention span, memory and cognitive control. In children, it may slow the language development and impair the learning. Passive screen use weakens the deep learning, interactive or educational use can improve the skills. So overuse of digital device can increase the stress, anxiety and affect the social interaction. Screen exposure, especially before the bedtime, disturb the sleep, harming the brain functions. So, regular breaks, physical activities, and mindful use help maintain the healthy brain function. Thank you so much.